all the way to the bottom of that. All the way to the bottom. Okay, good evening. Welcome to this meeting of the Montara Water and Sanitary District Board of Directors. It is July 9th, 2026 at 7:33 p.m. Could we have a roll call, please?
Director Slater Carter.
Present.
Director Boyd.
Here.
Director Young.
Present.
Director Champion.
Here.
And Director Sofke is currently not in attendance.
Okay, thank you. Tonight for the president's statement, I just want to call attention and give a little highlight to the part of the agenda packet that hopefully we'll talk about a bit later, but in the general manager's report, there are a couple of letters, and one of them is to the Local Agency Formation Commission, and the other is to the Coastal Commission. And both are important and timely and responding to current events that bear upon the function and purpose of this agency. And in the letter to the Local Agency Formation Commission, there's one paragraph in here that I'm just going to read. And this is in response to LAFCO's announced plan to do a municipal services review. Comments have been made, and just one paragraph is pretty important, but the whole letter is worth reading. But just to keep it short, I'll just read this bit. MWSD has not ceased providing water or sewer service to any customer within its jurisdiction. All residents and businesses within the district continue to receive water and wastewater services. Although portions of certain water and sewer facilities located within areas affected by significant land movement, Seal Cove, were removed from service in 2025 under emergency measures, replacement facilities and operational measures were implemented to ensure uninterrupted service to affected customers. No MWSD customers were left without sewer or water services at any point, despite extraordinary geologic conditions documented by county and geotechnical experts. Further, no state or federal regulator has ever determined that MWSD is failing to provide adequate water or wastewater service. In the second letter to the Coastal Commission, they are considering a proposed amendment to the Mid-Coast local coastal program. And in here, this is the proposal intends to take aim at coming up with a different calculation for the number of permits that can be issued every year. And this is the district's informed and considered response from the perspective of a utility that has to do long-term planning for infrastructure development. It's a bit lengthy. It's about 10 pages long. It's a bit complicated, but so goes infrastructure planning. And I think it provides a really good, well-considered, informative discussion around issues that impact not only our ability to do our work here in a considered and measured way, making sure that we always are delivering adequate service and having adequate infrastructure for the development needs. But it also very likely applies to other infrastructure providers. And so I think it's a good contribution to the discourse. So that's what I've got for my president's statement tonight. Let's see. Let's go to oral comments for items that are not on the agenda, and we'll start with the public. Greg Diegas.
Thanks, Scott. First, I want to thank the district for those letters, particularly the one on the local coastal program. I spoke at the Planning Commission yesterday and basically protested the actions they took without notifying in advance the community. And there's more that could be said about that. But I also promised that I would work with other residents in the area to correct the invalid fact foundation that the planning staff gave to the commission that led to their vote and their decision. So my request of this group is, if I send a draft, I'm hoping some aspect of MWSD will be able to review for accuracy whatever I say about matters that are within the district's purvey. I don't expect you to comment on everything I'm going to say about telecommunications and traffic, but so I would appreciate that if I send a draft to the board in coming week or so. Thanks very much.
Thank you,
Thank
Greg.
you.
Do I see any other public comments from members of the public? I'm not seeing any hands. Board recognizes Director Young.
Hi. Yes, I went to the MCC meeting where they discussed this, and they also had a special meeting to write a letter. And then, of course, I went to Ray's meeting at the office, sorry, the planning commission meeting that was at Ray's office on June 30th. And I also heard what Greg heard at the planning commission this week, and they did have an online vote. It was a very well attended meeting on the 30th. I would say it had a lot of I would call them small developers or builders and homeowners that want to build in the room. And that's pretty much what's causing this whole problem is they gave out, what was it? 71 allocations in 1 year, which plus what had already been given out came to 120. So they had to backtrack and figure out, oh, what are we going to do now? So their workaround is to still keep the 40 per unit per year cap, except when there's of course a developer that does affordable housing, which we had to give them their 71 units. And the public was allowed to vote on which they had, I think it was Greg, was it five different choices? A through F anyway. And I think the majority voted for E because they also there was a poll that went out too after the fact, after the meeting, in case some people didn't attend the meeting. And E seemed to be the vote that took priority when I voted. And that's for 166 unit look back. And just to explain to the public what the 166 unit look back is, they went all the way back to 2013. And just for reference, that's the year the tunnel was inaugurated for the Tom Lantos tunnel. And that's also the year we started we got our public works plan going and got the water permits to be given out for the first time in quite a number of years. So the first few years, there weren't hardly any mid-coast permits given out, but over time it's added up, but it has never added up to more than 40. It's usually in the 30s, and that includes ADUs. So they thought the best way to solve the problem of not just slamming on the brakes and having a permit freeze for everybody was to do a look back. They offered people another choice, which was just to do a 10-year rolling look back. The 10 years that I voted for was go all the way back to 2013, but they're only going to give them out up to 40 units per year, not including a big project like a mid-pen. So we're still going to keep the 40 unit cap. They're not going to 75, which some people were all freaked out about, but that was just mentioned in passing. I think down the road they're hoping for that, but I doubt they're going to get to it. Again, the letter that we have in our packet will probably put the brakes on making it a 75 cap year. But anyway, what he said on this week, Steve Monowitz just mentioned at the planning commission that we did have the meeting at Ray's office. People were voting, and they think that they're going to go with the 166 look back plan, but they still have to go to the Mid-Coast Community Council again and give them the proposal because they were very upset that they didn't get the proposal before the original planning commission took their vote back in May 27th. So that's where we stand, and you know, people who are interested, stay tuned. I know there's something coming up on the CDRC this coming month for somebody that had came here, in fact, asking about her permits. So I just feel sorry for the small property owners that got aced out, didn't see the 71 unit, you know, handout coming, and that messed up the whole thing. Because other than that, we've been below the 40 unit cap every year for the whole mid coast, not just MWSD. But it was a good meeting, and Michelle Dragony has posted a copy of this. I think they only recorded it with an owl, so there's not very much. You can't see the audience, but you can see what they put on the screen. And that's on her Coastside Buzz website, if anybody wanted to see how that meeting went, in case you didn't have a chance to attend it. But I did attend in person. That's it. That's all I have to say.
Okay. All right, let's go to the consent agenda. Any board member have any items to pull for consideration? And if we don't, can I have a motion, please?
So moved. Second.
And we have a motion and a second. All in favor, oh, sorry. Could we have a roll call, please?
Director Champion.
Aye.
Director Young,
Aye.
Director Boyd,
Aye.
and Director Slater Carter. Yes.
Okay.
Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you. No old business, new business, item 1, review and possible action concerning authorization to design the Valmar utility relocation project with grant funding and collaboration with San Mateo Resource Conservation District.
Yeah, thank you very much. So we've been reporting before about a grant that we received in cooperation with the San Mateo County RCD to address some issues on Valmar Street. We're gonna get a status update from both our water and sewer engineer have been working together with the RCD to design this project and move this forward. And we're receiving a report from our sewer engineer Pittman about the status, as well as so the recommendation ultimately will be to authorize additional funding in the amount of $200,000 to continue with this project. We're currently actively seeking out more grant funding for the actual implementation of the project. Pippin.
Thank you. We're really pleased to bring this back to update the board. It's been a long time known risk area for coastal erosion. The section primarily targeted in this project is what we maybe affectionately refer to as the paper street, the Strand, which is mostly no longer in existence. It's fallen into the ocean, or big portions of it have, along the coast of Montara, extending down to the Fitzgerald Marine Reserve. There are several sections where the sewer, back in the original installation of the district, was placed below the houses in this what was going to be a developed street. And so, in fact, the trunk sewer that conveyed all the sewage from Moss Beach up to the original Montara treatment plant went along the years. It's been compromised and repaired. We've come in to speak with you guys in the past about concerns with this pipe. And so over the last year, we have been working with the RCD to come up with design alternatives and address situations in Valmar Street. It's a very congested street because there are multiple existing utilities there, including the SAM IPS, which conveys all Montara's sewage from the northern Montara section, and all the sewage in the wintertime when the sewage goes through the Walker tank for peak storage, down to SAM. There's also an abandoned or unused old force main in that street which we're proposing to revitalize to help improve the efficiency to move sewage back and forth from the south part of the district to the north part of the district. Also included in this project is the concept that the water and sewer pipes are not, in a couple spots, not separated to meet the current code standards. And if we need to fit yet another sewer into the street, we need to readjust the locations of some of these water pipes. And to add to the complications, the existing water crossing from Sierra over to Valimar Street is the primary water connectivity to the water sources in the southern half of the district. And this pipe has undergone numerous repairs and is in a really challenging spot where it crosses the highway. So we're working with SRT. We're proposing to relocate that water crossing further south, closer to Etheldor. So those are the highlights of the goals of the project. And the RCD has been very supportive, working alongside us, helping begin the environmental permitting process. And we have, we're in this situation now where when a project is, has some concepts and the initial designs are started, in order to get implementation funding, we need to take the project to the sort of term as shovel ready. So the goal of this next effort would be to try to develop the project with SRT and RCD in a way that would protect the coast and be shovel ready. So if we can get implementation funding that would pay for all or a portion of the project, that we would be ready to implement immediately, basically, because often these projects have a real, the grant money has a short expiration time. So you want to be ready to utilize the money as quickly as you can if it's approved. So that's the overall high level of what our goals are. And we are, as Clemens suggested, asking for a not to exceed of $200,000 to give us the flexibility to finish the design and support work with RCD in developing the environmental permits. If there's any questions, I would happy to take those now.
Yeah, I've got a question. If we are declined the funding that we're going for, is there like a plan B for to be able to complete the project if we are denied funding?
That's a great question. One thing we've been trying to develop with this, with the project, is how to phase the different pieces. It's kind of like a bit of a jigsaw puzzle, fitting the utilities in the street and which ones you would upgrade first and which ones you would move out of the way first and so forth. And we do have a strategy to break the project down into multiple smaller pieces. So if we had to approach this on a pay-as-you-go basis, we could, over next numbers of capital programs, be able to do kind of one piece at a time and do it in a way that would be building upon those individual assets that would be able to be carried forward, and do as much as we could to reduce temporary or duplicate pipe work that would have to be done. So the plan B would be just to take it one little piece at a time, and it would take definitely a number of more years to get through the project that way.
Thank you.
Sid?
Thank you, Pip, and I've been waiting for this. I know you gave us a report on it 2 years ago or something. I can't remember exactly. So how long start to finish? I know this is just money for the design work, but let's say you get a green light God forbid, and we have to start the project, how long do you think the whole project will take from start to finish? Water and sewer?
I think the most critical thing we've been, considering in terms of the project scope and timing is the impact to the community, because on both sides of the freeway, when we do work, it adversely affects the local traffic. And so we would really be, probably still taking maybe 3 to 4 seasons to complete the project in its entirety, because it wouldn't be a 24, a solid 12-month a year project. We'd want to be doing most of this work outside the winter months when the sewer flows are lower and when it's less rainy. So we would be targeting, one kind of, one big section at a time per construction season, and kind of going and phasing it like that. So the short summary on that was, if we got all the money tomorrow somehow, it would still probably take 3 construction seasons to adequately complete the project and not really disrupt the local community too much.
So you do know, I'm sure, that there's gonna be some disruption when Caltrans does the, they're calling it the Moss Beach Corridor Plan, and the last I heard, they were gonna get it done by 2030, but now I saw 2032 on one of their plans. But I know the intertie pipeline is coming along and we're getting that work done. Is there anything that you could coordinate, shall we say, so that,
Yep.
it's going to be disrupted anyway with Highway 1 getting redone, but also when the intertie pipeline gets redone, if you say that the IPS goes down Valamar, then maybe that's some time that you could coordinate that. I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's a good observation. I appreciate that. We hope to get, now that project is moving, if it continues to move at the pace they say it will, we hope to get, updates quarterly or so from the county and Caltrans. I think we would be able to, even if we couldn't get funding for the whole project, we still may be able to do, like, for example, one of the most impactful elements of the project, in my view, might be the new relocated water crossing. We could, we would probably be working with Caltrans to try to get those pieces done in a way that wouldn't, that would be in advance of reconstructions they did. So I think that we still have several years out before that, will come to fruition. But because we can do different elements of the project in pieces, that would be how we'd have to approach it, is try to work close with their schedule and then prioritize those pieces that are the most involved with their areas of improvements.
So the last question I had was on the water project. You say it's at Sierra. Is it Sierra and Etheldor, or where is the other? Where is it coming from?
It would actually connect from Etheldor back up the hill on the east side, because the current crossing comes down across Highway 1 on a very steep slope, and there isn't an adequate water main down Carlos. So we would connect from the current crossing at Sierra south to the Etheldor Valamar intersection, and then bring it across the highway there. So it would add a few several hundred feet of new main along Carlos Street to make that connection.
But it does go under the highway. We're not talking a pipe over the highway, across the highway, right?
It would have to go under the highway, similar to what we did a number of years ago with the water crossing before. Yeah, it would be per Caltrans codes, installed under deep enough and with the right casing protections per their standards.
Okay, I saw the county had bought some land on Carlos Street, so I don't know if they're planning to cut down some of the, I don't know if you've ever tried to turn out of the the north end of Carlos, but it's hard. And that's, you know, at some point, there might be a traffic signal there, but right now, they're making little plans. And one of them was they bought 2 parcels of land recently at one of the board meetings, so maybe they'll cut that big tall view blocker down. Who knows, though? Maybe it's for the other pipes that they're putting in. Thanks.
Okay, do we have any other comments or questions, Catherine?
This is the same problem that Ed Newt was struggling with in the mid-90s that we're talking about.
It's-
Thank goodness for new technology and deepest thanks to Kellogg's and RCD for coordinating and helping us get the funding on this. It has been I won't say the level of risk, it all depends on who you're talking to, but an area of risk for this district for a long time. And so thank you, Pippin and Kellogg's and RCD for getting this done. Do we have any other kinds of areas of sewer pipe that are on the ocean, on the old rights of way that need to be attended to?
So there is another smaller area to the south that I didn't highlight that is included in this project. It is after you kind of go into Moss Beach at the north end of Ellendale. There's a street there that's, some people call it the Strand, some people call it Laguna, but it's a similar situation. There's a sewer that over the years pieces have, you know, fallen off. You used to be able to drive around the houses there, and now you cannot drive around the houses, and the pipe is right up against the edge. So that is included. And we're also including a pipe encasement and increased protection for the pipe that crosses the Dean Creek between the
Right.
LDS Church and I believe it's Nevada Street. So that pipe, we had made a repair on it 15, 18 years ago. And that repair has, you know, is getting towards it's still functioning, but it's getting towards the end of its usefulness. And being that there's large trees overhead there, there is risk of a branch actually rupturing the pipe. So we want to increase the pipe protection with a steel beam and a casing for double containment to improve the type of containment. We do have double containment there now, but we want to improve that because of its age. So those are 2 other additional higher risk for environmental impact pipes where there's no issues at the moment, but we want to have designs ready so we can, you know, have it ideally repaired before there's any future issues.
And just for clarity, these were pipes that were originally put in the 50s or 60s when
Yeah.
the district was just getting started, and all of those roads, they were not put in spite of warnings for geologic hazards. They were considered to be sound geology there, right, when they were put in.
I couldn't exactly say the circumstances of when they were put in. I didn't research those original installations,
Okay.
but they've been there since the beginning, and they're getting to where they're not serviceable, and so we want to relocate those pipes to different streets and you know, also improve the ability to, as I mentioned at the beginning, to move sewage, particularly on the Valamar Street, between the southern part of the district and the wet weather storage tank as efficiently as we can to aid the flow management for SAM if IPS ever needs to be shut down, or just in the summer even to improve the pumping efficiency by utilizing the Montara North Pump Station more and reducing the peak pumping at Valamar Station. It will save us electricity and be easier on the pumps to have one station running more continuously rather than two stations turning on and off more frequently. So there's a number of factors and benefits which weigh into this project, besides just the immediate risk of a sewer spill.
Thank you for the further explanation.
Right, what we have in front of us is a recommendation to authorize the general manager to work with RCD and look into additional funding for an amount not to exceed $200,000. This would be for project management and funding reimbursement. I should just read the whole thing. Let's just read the whole thing. I'm trying to ad hoc it. Authorize the general manager to pursue additional funding for completion of project design of Valamar Sewer and Water Relocation Project, and to extend a collaborative design agreement with the San Mateo Resource Conservation District for project management, funding reimbursement, with the MWSD contribution to not exceed a total of $200,000.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Could we have a roll
Director
call?
Champion,
Aye.
Director Young,
Yes.
Director Boyd,
Yes.
Director Slater Carter.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0.
Okay, thank you. And thank you, Pippin, and all who've worked so hard to get us to this point, and we're looking forward to the collaboration with RCD. So very good. Been a long time in the making to get this far. Next item, review and support for Water Smart grant applications. Comments?
Yeah, thank you. We're about to receive we're working with Balance Hydrologics on a number of Water Smart grant applications. And we're about to receive a presentation from Maya Montalvo. And I'm very pleased to present her to the board. Maya has extensive experience in geology, geophysics, and hydrology in particularly this area. Maya's thesis, I'm gonna go back in time. She did actually in Monterey, attended Santa University, going further up the coast, attended Half Moon Bay High School, and then further back in time attended Montara, our Fairlawn View School here. And we have a very local. And Maya is working together with Gary Conley, who has a similar background and is also from Montara. And I'm assuming that is iPhone number 2. But yeah, so Gary also attended the local schools and is from Montara. So we have proper local support. So Maya, if you can just run a little bit down what we're doing with the Water Smart grant, and where we're trying to get to is we are trying to inform the board. There is some matching requirements, and let's see how this is going to pan out for us. Maya.
Great. Thank you so much for the introduction, Clemens, and thank you for the board for your time. I do have a PowerPoint presentation that I can start sharing here, if you can see that well. So as Clemens mentioned, I'm a hydrologist with Balance Hydrologics, and we recently submitted 3 Water Smart applications for Montara water projects for matched funding through the Bureau of Reclamation. So before I dive into that, I'm just going to quickly give a quick overview of the Water Smart program, describe the 3 projects that we submitted for funding and the project teams that will be working on those, as well as the fiscal impacts, and with time for questions at the end. So to dive in, Water Smart is a funding program through the Bureau of Reclamation. The goal is to support water managers to increase water supply reliability and mitigate water issues, specifically in the Western US. They have 10 different sub-programs within Water Smart. So each are focused on different issues for water management, but we applied to 2. And just a bit more background, it is a program that's been going on for over 15 years, and we have had there have been projects that have been funded through WaterSmart in the Bay Area. So we hope another dot will be on that map. And the two that we applied to are the applied science grants and the small scale water efficiency projects. The main thing is that these are both for 2-year-long projects. They do require a minimum of 50-50 cost share. So 2 were submitted to applied science grants yesterday on July 8th. There is 2 rounds or 2 cycles of funding, so another funding cycle is available next year. And we also submitted 1 small scale water efficiency project that was submitted in June. So the 3 projects that we submitted, the 2 on the left-hand side are, one is to develop a hydrologic data management and decision support, or a database for the district. This will be taking in currently monitored stream flow, groundwater pumping, and water quality data all into one centralized database. This would be a geospatially based database, and this will also include the installation of 6 telemetry stations to monitor, and I'll get more into that in a moment. The second project is the groundwater age dating for recharge evaluation. This will be a isotope hydrology focus study, so it will include 2 years of quarterly water isotope sampling that will then inform a decision support tool and data dashboard. And the goal is to have an easy place for operators to refer to based on the isotope hydrology study and determine how sustainable groundwater pumping is between different well locations. The third is our SCADA distribution monitorization project under the small scale water efficiency program. And this is really infrastructure that would be installed for the water distribution system, as well as a modern SCADA software system. And the goal is to have improved automated leak detection to really reduce both control and reduce leaks and reduce non-revenue water losses. So to describe the database a bit more, Gary Conley, who is on this call, really has a stronger background in software and data science development. But this project would really involve working closely with really what the district needs to have both historic and continuously collected data. So this is an example of what that might look like. There would be different well locations, different monitoring stations, all in this map-based system that the district itself would own. And we would work to develop whatever metrics would be helpful to easily see for operators. And this would also include, again, the historical data. So the district has done a remarkable job of collecting over decades, many decades of data, but they are currently difficult to access, and there's still a manual data entry process. So we're hoping that this would really reduce operator time focused on that, and also help future planning and water management projects. And the second applied science grant, or the groundwater age dating project, like I mentioned, this would be a quarterly sampling program for a suite of stable and radiogenic isotopes. The goal is to really see how they're to look at both seasonal and interannual changes in groundwater recharge in Montara, and a separate data dashboard with this tool based on the model from the isotope hydrology work would inform that. And the need for this also came from Alta Vista well monitoring. So I believe starting in 2011, there were several years of drought and sampling, and this found that, especially with continuous drought, there was a a larger pre-modern water fraction, which suggested that this was pulling more on an older water source that may be less renewable compared to having a younger water or from recharge. And we're hoping that this will be, sorry, I see that there's a question. So I can take a question now, or I can also wait for the end, whichever. Okay,
Let's wait
perfect.
for the end.
Thank you.
Lemon, Michelle Dragony can't get in. Can you let her in like you did, Greg? Thanks.
I don't see anyone in the waiting room.
Maya, if you would
Okay.
continue, please. We'll take questions at the end.
Perfect, thank you. And this work I want to mention will be done in collaboration with Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory and California State East Bay, who have extended experience both in isotope hydrology, but specifically in the California and Bay Area. And the third project through the small scale efficiency, our SCADA and distribution monitoring modernization project. This will be work primarily done by Calcon Systems. So, and they consulted with Julian to figure out what the most pressing needs are for the distribution system. So there are 6 stations that will have new equipment installed, both for, I think, leak detection and control, as well as the new SCADA system. Let's see. So the primary project teams for the applied science grants, I know maybe Mark Weishner doesn't need an introduction, but Mark is a principal hydrogeologist and co-founder of Balance. He will be the principal on those 2 projects. Gary is a senior hydrologist with Balance, but Gary also is a very experienced data scientist and software developer, and is critical in getting both the database and the dashboard developed. And I'm a hydrologist, grew up going to Farallon View, and it's been really nice to be able to work in the Montara Mountain watershed. And a brief introduction just of the collaborators at Lawrence Livermore and Cal State. Alta Visser is a isotope hydrogeologist, and Amelia is a professor. They're both, they were key in kind of helping us design what would be a good way to approach developing that decision-making tool. And they also are just fascinated by the unique hydrogeology of the area. One thing I wanted to note is in the board packet, there is a preliminary project budget summary table. This is a updated one, so this might look a little bit different than what you might have. But I wanted to mainly draw attention to the first row, which is the total project cost for each. The second row is the federal share that we have requested from the Bureau of Reclamation for WaterSmart. That is at 45% because this can really increase the chances of actually receiving funding, which means the non-federal share or Montara share is at 55%. So that's kind of the overview, and if you have any questions, happy to answer them.
Okay, let's go to Greg Diegas first.
Well, I have several questions. I hope you'll bear with me. If I recall, the last time we had to cut back because the aquifer wasn't replenishing was 2018, maybe. There was a 3-year period there, and one of the metrics on the water age was 3,000 years old. So that's one set of questions. Would this tell us in real time the same thing that balanced hydrologic study did? The second question is, do we need to replace the SCADA anyway if we don't do this? And are these funding efforts inclusive of all the capital costs? And then what are the ongoing maintenance and operations costs for this new gear? And what's the lifetime before the asset replenishment? If she knows.
So I would like to answer the first 2 questions, Greg. So the district has never reduced the pumping rate at the Alta Vista well due to drought conditions. think you're mixing this up with that there was throughout the drought, we're experiencing, or what we're seeing is a decrease in water level, but there is plenty of water left in the aquifer. This aquifer is extremely drought proof. So after the drought, we see recharge back to levels of like before the drought. So I think that is something that maybe got mixed up a little bit. And the second is I wanted to just clarify that at the very beginning, so the reason for the isotope sampling is something rather unusual here in the United States. It's very common in Europe. So for example, in Germany, all potable water sources have to be age dated. The law is very simple in my home country. All water needs to be older than 100 days. So here we're talking about, of course, much older waters. And what Maya was referring to is that in this non-consolidated aquifer, we're in solid rock, we're in bedrock. It's not very simple to understand how drawdown really works. And that is where age dating helps. So the initial pumping indeed produced some older water. However, what we're now seeing, or very quickly saw, is that this older water is replenished by much, much younger water. So we see essentially evidence of water that has been produced. I mean, we understand it's at least around 30, 40-year-old water at this point, and that is a very normal age for this area. So just clarifying this. And Maya, I don't know if you remember the other questions from Greg, but those I can't answer.
The SCADA system, if this would need to be replaced, is that your question, Greg? Even if this
Yeah,
funding-
that was one of them. Does it need to be replaced anyway, or is this adding cost?
Yes, the SCADA system is in need of upgrade. Actually, we are currently running essentially an old system and a portion of a new system parallel.
Good.
Okay, and are these funding efforts inclusive of all the capital costs? The
I don't
numbers she showed in that
understand.
table.
I don't understand the question, Greg.
Repeat the question.
No, I heard what
Are
you said.
the figures that she showed including all the capital costs for this instrumentation?
Maya?
Yes, so all of the instruments and then the SCADA program, this was directly from the quote and scope of work from Calcon Systems.
Okay, operating maintenance costs and the lifetime before asset replenishment of these new assets.
That is something that is a good question, and I will need to check in with Calcon for that, and can circle back to Clemens with that information.
I'm going to say that would be very unusual if this would be included.
What did you say?
What'd you say?
I didn't hear your
I
answer.
would say that's very unusual to include the lifetime operating cost on any asset.
Mhm.
That's pretty well unknown, given all the variables.
Right. I mean, that is why we have.
That wasn't the exact question. Let me rephrase it. The annual operating and maintenance costs is one question, and then how long will these assets last is a separate question.
Okay.
Say.
Good questions that I can't answer.
Yes, from my understanding from when we were working on the proposal and the quote from Calcon is that this is infrastructure that's made to last, like it's beyond the 2-year project period. I'm not sure if that answers the directly, but we can also check in with Calcon.
Certainly we have the information, but just not right now, right?
Catherine?
Given the operational life of a SCADA system. These are highly complex electronic systems and devices, right?
Well, it's software.
So it's software, but it also ties in with
Hardware, yes.
semi hardware. And so the lifetime is not only dependent on the length of time that the hardware is well maintained, but it also depends on the state of the technology.
That's right.
And so technology changes fast or slow depending on the demand. So my guess is, just like for so many other electronic systems, the lifespan depends on the needs of the district for the sophistication of the system. And so to say 5 years is not anticipating the variables that can arise in the meantime.
So it's actually an interesting question, because of course the hardware wears out and needs to be upgraded once in a while. The software, the skeleton of the SCADA system that we're currently using is over 40 years old. It's actually one of the problems is to find knowledgeable people that can work with this old software at this point. But back to the point, so I am amazed how in that arena, this has worked for us for decades, while it is in other areas, you know, these things are updated very quickly.
Right.
I'll just comment that if you note in the staff report that a good part of the monitoring modernization is about improving leak detection, reducing non-revenue water. I'll come back to that in a second, and enhancing supply resilience. If this works the way we intended, it will save us plenty of money in avoidance of loss of water. So that reducing non-revenue water means staying on top of the water that somehow doesn't wind up getting billed. In other words, leaks.
So I just
Leaks
wonder,
and-
is non-revenue water leaks, is that, I had a question about what.
That's the simple translation. If we don't bill for it, but it got used, then that's non-revenue water.
Okay.
And leaks are definitely
Okay.
potentially a big part of that, and a whole big part of this effort is if we know about it, we can do something about it, and we can put a stop to the water going away, you know, in ways that might have gone undetected. So in other words, we either pay attention and conserve the water, spend a lot of money to do that, or we don't pay attention and then we pay a much bigger downside price when the water, you know, runs off without us knowing about it. So this is an intentional awareness effort, and it costs money to install the sensors and all the hardware and the software to do it, but it's the kind of thing that gives the team the operational observability so that they can do the control and, you know, whatever maintenance they need to do to tend to whatever's changing in the system. Kathy?
Lemon's quick question just for you for the audit information of the audience. When we took over this system, long before we could start allowing connections, we had one of the highest non-revenue water consumption percentages, I believe, in the state. Wasn't it up around 18-20%, maybe 15? I forgot.
I would like to take
Oh,
advantage
Tanya.
of our district engineer to be present, and maybe Tanya, you can answer the question and elaborate a little bit how our water loss?
Yeah, if you could come to a microphone.
Discussion, thank you. I'm glad I'm here. We had 21%.
21,
When
Jesus.
when the district took the system over, 21% in losses. Now, I do want to clarify that some of the losses are necessary, for example, the fire department flushing. Filter back
Backflow.
flow. Any cleaning that the crews do, so that's also included, but that's minor part, but the major part is leaks. Right, that's
Okay.
due to leaks, but we can't quite distinguish that, but 21% is 3 times more than industry average. Which were you now at 7%.
Now
So,
we're at 7%.
We're 7%. So what happened was 2 things. The district implemented quite a few projects that contributed to major conservation. And now your consumption actually is one of the lowest in the state. You're almost close to San Francisco that doesn't have any irrigation, right? So San Francisco is the lowest. The other aspect is we basically found water supply. That's 14%. It was found, it went back to the portfolio to serve customers instead of leaking into the ground. So this kind of programs that Maya is describing are instrumental in achieving these goals and continuing to achieve to maintain the goal. So it is very beneficial.
Leah?
I've got one question about security. I do know that Clemens pointed out to me that SCADA, or how you pronounce that system, the fact that it's so old, in a way, the good part about it is that it's almost non-hackable. And so my question is with the new updating, is, I'm sure that you're looking into what is sort of a hacking proof system that we're replacing it with.
We're not quite replacing, we're adding on. Right?
Is that it? Okay.
Yes.
So the old system, as antiquated as it is, does need support, but it's still there.
Okay,
And the district has been able, with their contractor Telcon, maintain it all these years.
okay.
Which is admirable, because very few people can do that. I don't know of any, actually, besides you guys.
So you're adding on to that system.
Yeah, there is a security risk always, but with new elements. That's been also taken in consideration.
It's Sid.
It's partially covered the way we have our screen oriented, but that last part, it says install flow meters. Is that the sensors that you were talking about? You see that last part that's covered, SCADA distribute.
Maya,
Oh,
that slide, the directors cannot see the very right hand.
If they put the thumbnails on Zoom across the top of the screen, we could see it.
Let her respond.
so I'm sorry you can't see that. So it's install flow meters and pressure sensors, as well as the SCADA software. So those flow meters and pressure sensors will be specifically at certain stations. Let me go back. And this also might be difficult for you to see, but these are the 6 stations throughout the service area that will have new either pressure sensors, flow meters, and a booster pump at the schoolhouse location.
So you're not adding any, you're just replacing the ones that already exist, right?
No, we're adding,
You are adding,
yes.
okay. I just, it was hard to see before, so thank you. And those sensors are how old? The ones that we have now?
The existing sensors?
Yeah,
I can't answer the question because they are, sometimes they're going out and then they're being replaced.
Well, how
So
is the oldest one that you might guess?
These are small devices that.
Uh-huh.
I don't know.
Okay,
Like I said, they are being replaced when they're failing. And that's not necessarily a problem because that is noted. These are tied to alarms. So if something goes wrong, and an error pops up, then we know about this immediately, and Calvin comes out and replaces the sensor for us.
To some extent, it's like changing light bulbs.
Yes,
Right.
exactly.
gotcha. So we're just. This is to upgrade it, but not replace it, basically, is what you're saying.
These are additional sensors, yes.
Oh, okay. These are the new sensors, what's on here now. Additional sensors,
Some are existing,
okay.
some are new.
So we have 6 that are existing and some new ones being added. Is that what you're trying to say? I didn't really, it's hard to see from here, so it's very tiny
We
on
have
that screen.
2 existing.
We have 2 existing. That's it, none in Seal Cove. So when you have a big water leak out there, you're not gonna know it right away. Is that,
Oh, no, yes,
You
this
would
is
know
what
it.
these sensors do. They tell us in which area.
okay,
And with 6 additional, it's a more refined area.
so the green dot at Pillar Ridge would notify you about a leak in Seal Cove, basically?
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay,
Catherine?
I want to make sure I'm interpreting this response. We have adequate. Currently, adequate and informative pressure sensors so that if there's a major leak. In any of our water lines anywhere in the system, we will get notified.
Yes, because the pressure drops in the entire system.
So adding these. Sensors will add more information, but it won't. Add additional information for areas that are already functional. It just gives us a better backed up pressure notification system.
Yes. It
And-
provides more granularity if you so want.
And if there was a leak in the past in Seal Cove, it was. No, it did send the information in a timely fashion to the district.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right,
So-
so
one quick question, so like the one that happened at 3 AM in Seal Cove, an alarm went off over here at the district somehow? Okay, thanks. Just so other people know.
okay, well, this is an information item and this is extremely informative. Thank you,
Yes,
Maya.
thank you.
Thank you, Gary, and thank you, Tanya and Clemens. This is great to see. This is part of what. A lot of this is the kind of the forward planning that it takes to be in a really prepared operational stance on an ongoing basis. So I love seeing this.
And Maya, it's so nice to see somebody who grew up here and knows our creeks and flows and little valleys and things that it gives you some extra understanding of a very special area.
Yes, it is. Gary and I reflect on that often when we're in the field together. So thank you for having us here.
Well, thank you for being here. Let's go to the next item. This would be review of the 2015 strategic plan and current activities.
Thank you, Scott. Yeah, so at the request of the board, we reviewed the 2015 strategic plan for consistency with our legal obligations and our activities, priorities, as they are voiced by this board. And even though the plan was developed in 2015, consistent board and staff leadership during the past 10 years have maintained a critical connection to the developed mission, vision, values, and goals, everything that goes into a strategic plan. This in conjunction with continued involvement by original community member participants highlights a rare consistency of focus and goal achievement. So even though 10 years are a rather short time for public agencies delivering critical utility services, most public agency work requires at least a decade of planning, design, permitting before construction of critical projects. So our focus is visible in its execution of numerous achievements under these various goals. For example, goal number 1, have water supply planning and source water protection. So since early 2015, we continue to undertake committed actions and projects aimed at water supply security, source water protection. You just heard for an example right here. This also includes the 2015 purchase of the Pillar Ridge water system, water production system, construction of the Alta Vista tank number 2. We maintain our 9 groundwater wells, in addition to our surface water source that is Montara Creek. And so we did a lot of repairs and reconstruction and maintenance on all of our sources. And despite we experienced 2 droughts in the last 10 years, and we are the only agency on the peninsula here that produces their water exclusively ourselves, so we never suffered during dry times. So that's a particular that goes, of course, along with groundwater. Groundwater is much more available and not impacted during droughts, right? So surface water sources are seeing an impact. So any surface waters sources, for example, the Hetch Hetchy system, major surface water source, suffers during dry times. So we managed through both these periods very successfully just with voluntary water use reductions. We had no mandatory reaction to additional drought charges, fines, fees that were required to maintain our water supplies and meet our customer needs. Our goal number 2, communication. We actively delivered an increased outreach and communication plan. We developed a communication plan and followed it during this period. So, for example, we have the bi-monthly newsletters that were now added. We conducted a number of in-person tours. We have on our website virtual system tours. We launched our next door profile, developed and conducted virtual education and engagement sessions, including our elected Community Service Academy, as well as water and sewer strategic discussions. Under our goal number 3, rates and finances, there has been done just a tremendous amount of work. We maintained rate studies, reviews, water and sewer rate adoptions. Pretty much every 2-3 years, we're going through rate studies. Every year, we're adjusting our rates. In particularly in 2020, we adopted the water system reliability charge that supplies adequate revenue to support our long-term financial needs of the water system, including we have now adequate emergency reserves on the water side, which was not the case 10 years ago. The district has maintained a balanced budget, adequate for operations and maintenance of all utility services. We're the only Sewer Authority Mid-Coast member agency that is prepared for next fiscal year's extraordinary sand intertype replacement projects. In addition, the district has secured strong non-rate revenues while supporting local and countywide emergency communications with cellular and radio communication site leases on the district property. We're still working on getting more revenue through that. The district's also positioned for early closeout and repayment in 2028 of the general obligation bond that we utilize to purchase the water system from Citizens Utility Company. You see tonight a focus on grant opportunities that has been very successful for Montara Water and Sanitary District. We're saving millions of dollars that are benefiting the entire coast side here. In particular, the sewer authority mid-coast side. Under our goal number 4, governmental relations, of course, there is the lawsuit from Half Moon Bay against the other agencies that needs to be mentioned. And despite that, we maintain consistent positive collaboration with all our neighbors. Here our work together with the RCD, with the Mid-Coast Community Council, Fire District, and again, all our neighbors. We executed a mutual aid agreement with Cal Water, the Cal Warren system, and many other things. Additional services. This is an interesting goal. This goal actually stated, be open to providing additional services that are needed and desired in our service area. Now, we have consistently considered additional service needs for this area, and we did not add additional services, but we have always examined opportunities and balanced them against our essential district function here and work and services. For example, I want to highlight here, we allow and encourage the public recreational use of our Alta Vista property. We actively maintain a portion of the Alta Vista Trail, for example. Goal 6, operations and administration. The district has committed to and delivered on continued educational and training support for staff. Employee manual was reconstructed with a focus on staff education and retention, and that this works, and the goal achievement is demonstrated by long-term retention of district staff. Many of our staff are here more than 10 years, and the vast majority more than 5 years. So goal 7, build and maintain facilities that are reliable, environmentally efficient. We mentioned already under goal 1 that we delivered a number of infrastructure projects that achieve this long-term reliability goal. In addition to work on our wells and supply structure, we have a trenchless mainline replacement with modern material and equipment wherever possible. For example, that was utilized at the recent State Park pump station, as well as the adjacent force main was replaced that pushes the sewage from the pump station to a gravity section. And under governance, we also did quite a bit of work. The district continues to implement the governance principles set forth in the strategic plan. We're emphasizing strategic leadership, ethical decision-making, transparency. We just received, again, we renewed our transparency certificate with California Special Districts Association. We have a clear distinction between board policy responsibilities and staff administration. The board has maintained its commitment to collective decision-making, long-range planning, while ensuring compliance with applicable governance law. That includes conflict of interest requirements, the Brown Act, and ethics standards. So we also thought about this in the context of alignment with the LAFCO Municipal Service Review, and provided an additional review was completed to consider about this alignment with the strategic plan and our achievements relative to the municipal service review framework. They're going to focus on service capacity and reliability, on infrastructure planning and investment, financial sustainability, governance and accountability, intergovernmental coordination, community support, and local control. And I'm gonna spare you with the rest, but I think this shows pretty much that we are well equipped to go through the Moses Civil Service review that we're expecting next year. So our conclusion is that the evaluation of the 2015 strategic plan has demonstrated a consistent, focused approach to district work that has delivered on legal obligations as well as community identified priorities. Given these achievements and the consistency of the existing plan with public utility obligations, a revision of the plan does not appear necessary nor beneficial to the public the district serves. So we're providing this for information. Thank you.
I have a comment.
I'm sure you do. Hang on. Rounded everyone. Okay, Sid.
We have not yet had a strategic plan update committee meeting this whole year or last year, so I don't know if you think that you don't need to update it, but after 11 years, it probably should be updated. And one of the things is like goal number 5, I noticed you said something about we let people use our trails or whatever it was. Maybe I missed exactly what you said. Here we go. Additional services. For instance, when I went to the Board of Supervisors meeting recently, they upped the rate that is charged on every property that we put out, a new permit. Any new construction gets charged a fee every time for the Mid-Coast Parks funding, and it gets collected in it. Sorry, I'm having a little brain fart here. It gets collected every year in an interest-bearing account at the county, and they have, I believe, $287,000 in that account right now. And as you probably know, the red alert in Moss Beach, Montara has been pressing Caltrans to clear the right-of-way on the bypass, which the Board of Supervisors said we could utilize and take over at some point. So that part of our goal isn't listed in here, but we could ask the planning department that's been holding up our taking over the bypass to implement a trails plan using this $287,000 out of the Mid-Coast Parks Fund to make the trail plan, and then we could probably integrate that into our system and probably get some more water out of it eventually too, not to mention having a trails plan. And then goal number 8, about governance, we still don't have any bylaws, and those are what govern the board of directors versus employees. So we really should get that going. And I know Bill and I are the 2 that are on that committee. So in the past, you haven't given us permission to have a meeting, but can we now have a meeting and go over what sort of modifications we might like to put forward for the future of updating this plan that's now 11 years out of date?
Before we direct that to staff, I'd like to.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I'd like to take that up.
Okay, good.
About a year ago, you were making some of the same points.
Mhm.
And I raised the question about what do you expect to see in such a document? I took a look at the one Sam had been putting together and noted that most of the elements that the SAM document has are already accounted for in our own documents in various places.
But you didn't really say.
Excuse me, you're out of order.
Okay.
None of us are going to be interrupting each other tonight. Right?
Fine.
So a year ago, I observed that we had most of those elements and asked, what do you see that you think is missing from this? And to date, I have not seen a single thing from you that to do the kind of homework that you will be doing. If you're on the committee,
On the strategic plan committee, not on updating bylaws.
okay, but this has been a hobby horse of yours.
He hasn't let us have any
You-
meetings.
Excuse me. This has been a hobby horse of yours.
Okay,
There are some very practical things to do. I observe that we have a body of work that already governs the behavior of this board. If you want to claim that there's a deficiency, there is a very simple, straightforward thing to do. It's been a year. I haven't seen a single work product come out of that. And here you're saying there's still this deficiency. I'm not going to sit here and say that's okay. If you want to claim there's a deficiency, do the constructive thing, bring us the gap, do the gap analysis,
Okay.
bring it to us,
Mhm.
and then we can talk about it. But in the meantime, to continue whipping this hobby horse without actually doing the analysis and bringing us something constructive is just critiquing, but without any constructive contribution. So I want to focus the work of this board on being constructive. If there is a gap, let's fill it. All for that. But I went and did the work to take a look at what's in such a document
okay.
and to find what we have in our own documents.
And you found no deficiencies.
And what I found was we have things in a variety of places. And if you want to find them, they're not hard to find. I did it all with Google. So it's all available through the website. So if you see a gap, great. I'm not saying that I did an exhaustive search,
Okay,
but if you're the one making the claim that there's a gap, let's put some homework into it. In the meantime, the making the assertion without the basis is just a repeated, what I'm going to now call, it's a claim without any substantiation. And picking on, we don't have a document which has all the pieces in it that that you want it all in one folder. Assemble it, put it in a folder, put a name on it, show me what's missing that we need to insert into it to make it complete. I'm happy to support that work. I'm not happy to continue saying that we've got this massive gap. That's leaving a really wrong impression. In fact, what we just saw from this review is that, and I've been kind of sitting on this for a while now, talking, hearing, oh, the strategic plan is out of date. A strategic plan is built to be used on an ongoing basis, and it doesn't become out of date just because you've been using it for a while. In fact, the more you use it, the more likely we're actually aligned and we have some idea of where we might want to tweak it. So I have a constructive suggestion. I really like this presentation. I think we might be, takes a lot of work to put a presentation like this together. I appreciate that. One thing that might be useful is in future agendas, and this is just for consideration, because this would take extra work. But if items in the agenda align with one of the items in the strategic plan, if we just tagged it and said, this is in alignment with, here's the tag that says where you can see the thing in the strategic plan about why this is important to us and why this helps us know that we're in alignment with what we said we were going to do. That kind of tagging could provide an ongoing kind of small bite-sized piece that over time, any agenda can answer the question, are you abiding by the strategic plan? Well, we just look at the agenda and see, which things got touched. And then we could very easily look at things like which things aren't getting touched. Maybe we find a gap there. Or maybe as we're tagging it, we see, the way it's worded or the way it's conceived, kind of getting out of date. Let's come back and we can bring those kind of things to the board. So rather than having to have a big thing, we can do this on an incremental as you go basis. It's just a thought, but seeing your work puts me in mind of that would be a thing that I would like to see. So, let's see what the rest of the board says.
I guess I would like to see a strategic plan committee meeting before we let staff just announced that it's no need. Because we said we were gonna have Martin Roush come interact with the public again like we did in the past.
Well, let's.
And we didn't do that. We haven't even had a committee meeting and all of a sudden it's been announced by staff. So is the tail wagging the dog? I thought the general manager serves at the, pleasure of the board.
So I haven't seen the committee put up any work yet.
We tried to, he wouldn't let us have any meetings.
No,
You
no,
are
no, no.
free to meet with
You're-
any other director at all times.
You could, and this has been said at repeated meetings.
I know.
Repeatedly that you and Bill can meet. This has been said repeatedly, and you're saying he's not letting you. Maybe I could give you Bill's phone number,
No, I have Bill's phone number.
okay?
That we were told not to meet except not here in the boardroom. We
You were
can't
not
hold an
told
official
to
meeting.
meet.
Yes,
You were told that you can meet
at a coffee shop.
anytime, however you want.
So if we have a
We can
communication,
have a strategic plan committee meeting now. Is that what you're saying?
no,
No.
no.
Okay,
That's not what
You-
he was
You
saying.
can have had one at any time, up to and including now and in the future. And as board chair, I'm gonna suggest that if you guys don't have a meeting in the next 6 weeks, I'm gonna reassign the committee,
fine. Okay,
okay?
Yeah.
So consider that marching orders.
fine.
You and Bill can meet sometime in the next 6 weeks, and if I don't see a meeting happen in the next 6 weeks, I, as president, will reassign the committee members.
Okay, but are we gonna say this is all done? We don't have to bother, or are we gonna go ahead and
Well,
make some
I've
tweaks?
already, as a board member, put something on the table as a
Yeah.
possible follow-on
Okay,
action.
I did too.
And I think we're hearing the matter right now, and we can
All right.
discuss some things.
Okay,
Catherine, did you have any?
I have some minor comments. Because I am still so impressed by the comprehensiveness of what we worked on this, and some of the things in the fine print we have, we are in the process of dealing with, for instance, the pipeline between Montara and Half Moon Bay. When this was anticipated when we did this in 2016, we still hadn't been sued by Half Moon Bay.
Right.
For instance. We still hadn't had those big spills. It said likely. Well, it turns out. Not only was it likely, it happened, and we need to be prepared in the future for it happening. Maybe in this super El Nino. But for instance, under objective, develop a well conversion program that will promote voluntary conversions and necessary incentive and communication tools to make this happen. We still have people on the wells. We still have incentives and communication if they want to change. I don't think anybody has changed from wells in quite a while. There have been some,
There have been some changes.
and I noticed a new house going in on Sixth Street and it has a well on it, but it's going to have to be tied into our
It has to.
system, yeah. It says, objectives, enhance board and staff relationships with other agencies. Are we gonna stop doing that if we rewrite this? I don't think so. I think it's a part of our additional services, be responsible to community desires for new services. I think we have been doing that. Examine each opportunity on a case-by-case basis. That's a good work plan, and seek to provide services collaboratively when mutually beneficial partnerships can be found. That sounds like a good plan, but under our original enabling legislation, we are not a park service. We can't have a financial relationship with a community, with the county parks.
I realize
And-
that, but they said that,
Excuse me, you do not have the floor.
excuse me, you're right.
Thank you. So I think that's still a sound additional services, and I don't know about other board members, when I go out and I talk to people in the community, you know, I'm always listening. And more often than not, people say, there are two things they say, which haven't changed since this was put. Do not consolidate us. We do not want consolidation. They're out to steal our water. I hear that from strangers on a routine basis. As a matter of fact, I was talking to a friend that I've known since Will was in first grade, I think. That was a long time ago. And she was asking about what's this whole consolidation thing? And I gave her the brief summary and she said, oh my goodness, no, we don't want to be part of Half Moon Bay. No way. And so there are all of these things, but they still, to my mind, manage the wastewater system with the objective of zero spills and zero permit violations. We're still doing that. Why would we change these things? And so something that we might want to do, but it would be a lot of work for staff, and I'm not sure I want to spend the every time we ask staff to do something, there's this pile of stuff on their table. We don't even know how deep it is. But their computers, they're full of requests. And if we ask them to look at each agenda item and say, this is where it fits on the strategic plan, I think that's extra work, because these have turned in from a strategic plan into our operating principles. And I'm very proud of this board and this community for having this. I admit I have been asking for a strategic plan at SAM, Sewer Authority Midco side. And that's because we had a strategic plan that we actually spent quite a few days working on. It took about a week to get it together. We were waiting for the first draft to come out and Half Moon Bay filed a lawsuit. So needless to say, it seemed that a strategic plan about working together in a JPA was when one agency is suing the other two. Seemed like we needed to wait until that ended. I am still pushing for a strategic plan at SAM because the lawsuit has ended. We have a enormous potential for serious weather here in this upcoming season. We lost, was it 20 feet? 30 feet in front of what was the chart house in about 3 days due to the tides and the rainfall. That kind of emergency, SAM needs to be ready for, and we need to be working on that, as does MWSD. So I think we've got much more urgent things than rewriting a document we already know and understand. And it's already on our website. Maybe we can work. I don't know, as a way of, you know, just putting little bits of pieces of it in the bills we send out. This was in our strategic plan type of thing, so that people are aware that we are not, that we are operating under a very structured and well thought out plan, as opposed to the haphazard crisis of the day. I think that's why we're so successful as a district, why we have our certificate of transparency, and why we are why we have such a long standing crew and such low workers' comp payments, which all are proof of our excellence. So I just, I think that, we're at a good place and, I think if people want to delve into it and do the work to come up with ideas, I think that's a good plan. But I'm curious, well, never mind, I'll just end here.
Okay.
Is this a rebuttal or?
No, I have another question for Scott or for Clemens and both of them.
Okay, so
So does this mean we're not going to be hiring Martin Roush now to update our strategic plan from 2015? Because originally that's why you kept putting us off of having our meeting. So I'm just curious. Now we're just gonna.
is that a question or are you gonna?
That was my question.
Okay.
And I'm curious, you want us to meet in the next
So-
6 weeks?
I'm just restating part of the conclusion that I just said. That it's given these achievements and the consistency of the existing plan with our obligations as a public utility, a revision of the plan does not appear necessary nor beneficial to the public the district serves. That is staff's opinion.
And if the strategic plan committee got together and said that we thought that maybe you should look at it, then would you consider our opinion, or is that
You would bring that to the
edict.
board
we'll bring it to the
and the
board?
board can discuss it.
All right.
If the board wishes to direct staff in a direction, then they can do that, but we would, of course, solicit all the input from staff as well.
But you didn't solicit any input from the strategic plan committee to produce this. Document
Staff
tonight.
produces quite a lot
Oh,
of
I'm
material.
just saying, they didn't include us.
Just want to be precise, we've mentioned every time we brought this up. That you and Bill can get together, start doing work. All right? Now. The difference here is if I call a committee meeting. And you will be paid to do so, and what I'm making clear is when you and Bill are getting together doing the work. Right, this is not a meeting that you're being compensated for, so you do not have the authorization to create your own paycheck. That's what I mean.
So the meeting that you just asked us to have, is that a freebie for the district, or is that gonna be an official meeting that he calls?
Wait a minute,
You
this
just
is-
said in the next 6 weeks, you want us to get together. Is that gonna be a freebie for the district that we're not
Say
paid
a
for?
freebie, if you don't want to do the committee work,
Just
feel
saying,
free to step off the committee.
he
Are,
he didn't even involve us on the
are you
committee.
asking to be removed from the committee?
No, Scott, I'm asking you if Bill and I are getting together at your direction in the next 6 weeks. We should ask Clemens to call a specific strategic plan committee meeting at that point with him. Is that right? Is that my understanding?
This is not how ad hoc committees work,
Well,
and ad hoc committees are free to meet. These are not compensated meetings.
okay. I don't know what the big deal is then, why he has been putting it off
He's
for 2
making it very
years.
clear this would not be a compensated
Right.
meeting, and this seems to be an issue to you, and you
No,
asked.
it's not.
You asked me a pointed question
Yeah.
about, is this a freebie? I'm using your own framing of this in my response to you. Please do not tell me that I misunderstood what your framing was, because your framing used the term repeatedly, is this a freebie? So, no, this is ad hoc committee work.
Uh-huh.
And if you don't want to do the committee work because you don't have the time or interest to do it, that's okay. We have other board members.
I already took the CSDA training class, okay? In preparation for when we got our committee meeting together, which we haven't done because, like I said,
We have given
we haven't had a
clear
committee meeting.
instruction that you and Bill are free to meet
Mhm.
at your convenience.
Not to use the boardroom is what I was
You are
told by
free to meet
Clemens.
at your convenience.
Right.
And neither of you have elected to do so.
Actually, we have,
Then we haven't heard from the committee.
right. We haven't been permitted to hold a meeting that I was understood could be a meeting. So now I'm understanding that we're
No, I'm
to
not-
have a free committee meeting and not have it in the conference room, right?
Keep using the word free in here. This is not how we talk about.
An
board business.
unpaid meeting. An
You
unpaid
keep
meeting.
using the qualifiers about compensation, and I'm concerned about this.
He brought it up. I didn't. He just brought it up. He said that we're free to meet, but it's not gonna be considered a paid meeting.
You're not only free to meet, we've
Right.
been asking you to
Right,
get together and meet,
right,
and
right.
you haven't chosen to do it.
No, that's because of Bill's schedule, not mine. I very rarely go out of town.
So
Okay.
now it's not your responsibility at all, is what I'm.
No, I'm been the one waiting for Clemens to say when we can hold our meeting. Now he's telling me, meet anytime you want, but he went ahead and did the thing without us, the two meeting.
I would put it another way.
Okay,
We've been talking about this for a year and you haven't done anything.
well, that's
And
not true.
congratulations to staff for stepping up and bringing us an update.
I hate to say it, but I have been doing things, so I did make a whole list of things on with the outdated strategic plan of things I thought we should do. And we haven't had our meeting because he told us not to, so,
That's incorrect. I've been here every
Okay.
single time and it's not, don't meet, it's. You need to meet and it's not going to be. It's not gonna be a meeting where we're.
It's not official.
bringing in PCT.
Right.
It's official. It's an ad hoc committee meeting.
right. He told me we had to meet at a coffee shop. We couldn't meet in this conference. So is that changed now? Could we come have our meeting here?
I'm not quite sure why you want to meet here. This is,
This is
I mean,
easy
this
to
is,
meet
this,
here.
we need to have staff here.
Okay,
That's all right, so you're creating cost to us. And if you want to do work for this process, please feel free to do so,
okay.
right? If the full board decides that there is a need, anything like that, and directs us to go in a different direction, that's another thing. But what I'm trying to make clear, because of experiences I had with you in similar, you have very similar questions about compensation. I just want to make it clear that when you're meeting with Bill, then it's at your own discretion. You can put the work in. At that moment, when we receive board direction for a full process, you hear us saying, we do not recommend this.
So,
That, then if there's a standing committee, anything like that, that is compensation. But I do know that this is a motive for you to
It's not.
meet in this regard.
no,
And that is why I'm trying to be precise, that you do not have the authority, as you did before, to spend district funds unauthorized.
So I'm.
okay, I
I'm
just
gonna-
want to
I'm gonna-
make sure
I'm gonna
I
take-
understand. Can we
Excuse
use
me,
this
I'm
room
gonna-
if we want to meet
Excuse me. Through the chair,
through the chair?
always through the chair.
Through the chair.
And at the
Please.
moment,
Okay,
the chair recognizes itself
okay,
to observe that I've heard you use the word freebie and free no fewer than 8 times in the discussion of this topic.
8 times, okay.
And
Watch the video.
that's an informal
Okay, I guess. so.
count because I didn't realize I would care when you first said it,
All right.
but now you've said it repeatedly. I want to agree with our general manager that this is a framing that has been an issue. And we're coming at it head on tonight to make it really clear that ad hoc committee work doesn't need to be done in this room and it will not be compensated. And when the committee chooses to get some work done and bring it back as a committee report to this board, we're eager to hear from you. And we're tired of waiting.
Okay, so my question again is, in the past, I asked if we could meet in this room and he said no. I didn't mention compensation at that time. But he is now saying that I brought up compensation, which I didn't. So you are saying now we cannot use this room if we come in during normal business hours and the room is
You
available.
just asked the question and heard my answer.
We can use the room.
Why are you repeating the same question when you heard the answer?
You think that it costs the office money if we use this room? When
You
the,
have to have somebody here.
if they're here, I'm saying.
Okay, we're not gonna argue this out right now. I'm gonna observe that a lot of ad hoc committee work can be done over the phone between two people and don't even need a meeting place.
Okay.
Now, I know the way Bill wants to work is typically in person, and I respect
Yes.
that.
Yes.
If you two are having a hard time finding a time to meet, I will do something to moderate that and help you find a time. But I really expect board members to be able to work that out amongst
How about
themselves.
a place?
There are places to meet.
Can't be
Bill
here.
likes to get together with people on the beach, at coffee shops, at his house. I don't think coming up with a place to meet is gonna be a huge issue.
We met once at a coffee shop last year when we were both on the same committee.
So we know it can be done.
Yeah.
So let's get it done.
Okay. Bring you a report. See where we
If
think
the
it might be
committee-
deficient.
If the committee has something to bring, it's fine to
All
come
right.
back and say, we met, we don't have a lot. I mean, we hear this about other committees from time to time. Hey, how'd it go with CSDA? Oh, nothing to report this time.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Okay,
But
so we're
If-
gonna
if-
leave
if-
it at 2015. We're not gonna have an updated plan with Martin Rash. Is that my understanding?
I'm really feeling like, I'm really feeling like I'm not being heard.
I did hear you.
Did you?
Yes, if we come back with a report and we've done our work. We're still not gonna meet with Martin Rash later in the year and
You
have. a
can't tell
public
this
plan.
board,
I'm saying,
ahead.
asking.
you can't tell this board ahead of time what this board will choose to do.
Okay.
You bring us something that's actionable and supported with a basis and strong rationale.
Mhm.
Or even something that inspires somebody else on the board to have an idea. You never know what might come out of a board meeting. But I know that if we don't have a committee report, the committee report cannot spur further action.
The way I'm looking at
So
it.
if you
we
want to
have-
see further action. Spur that through putting in the time and effort that it takes to do the committee work.
Yeah, I did put in some effort. I did
We
go.
haven't seen any.
I know, I'm saying I put in effort.
It's been over a year.
Okay, now who's interrupting? Let me finish my sentence, okay? I did put in time. I took the CSDA training class on it. I tried to reach Bill. He was out of town on a meeting. I don't know where he is tonight. He's the other committee member. Can we also involve other board members?
No.
Okay, so
Because-
the two of us
because-
will have an ad hoc committee meeting, not here in this room. And we'll bring back something to the board, and then if there's some kind of because of the upcoming municipal services review, I suggest we have something better than a 2015 plan on our website by
You
then.
characterizing the date of the formation of that plan as somehow making it outdated. If you wanted to really pick on something that's really old. The authorizing legislation created this district is much older than that. Maybe that should be redone.
Again, I still have the floor. I think
No, actually.
I would like to say, I understand, I get what you're saying.
I'm sorry. You can't simply reclaim the floor because you are tired of hearing me talk.
No, it's not it.
I'm
You
sure-
interrupted me again. So you said there's not gonna be any interruptions in the meetings
Okay, I
tonight.
want to clarify a point.
Okay.
You asked a question, can you involve other board members? We all know the answer to that. Two board members can meet,
Mhm,
no problem.
okay,
Three board members cannot meet outside the public view.
okay,
That would be a violation of the Brown Act.
right,
That would
okay.
be illegal.
Okay.
So when I said no, I want to be really clear. I'm not being
Because of the
mean.
Brown Act.
I'm appealing to the law, which we all have taken the courses on and know the answer to.
All right, so if Bill's not here tonight and he's not interested in being on the committee, I could ask a different person.
No, you may not.
No.
That's not how ad
Okay.
hoc committees
All
work.
right.
You bring that to the chair.
Okay,
If he wants, if he's not interested in continuing that work or can't continue it for some reason,
okay,
let me know.
I will.
I'll appoint another member.
Okay, thank you. That's it.
Yeah, okay. So. Pardon me, I need to get back to the top of this document.
We are at committee.
Yeah, I'm, have a problem where, okay, using tabs, and I'm in the wrong tab. Okay, there we are. Okay, let's go to committee reports. Speaking of committees. Sewer Authority, Mikosa.
We have a meeting on Monday. Yeah,
I don't recall whether we met here since the last night meeting. or not.
we, with the 4th of July, we have
Right.
not.
Right.
I will say that the update, I spoke with Clemens today and that solar project. While it was a worthwhile try, we learned a lot. It was not a waste of time and effort. But because of some things that came up at the last meeting, it's not moving forward.
Yeah.
It is kaput. However, one of the more beneficial things that came out of it was this negotiation on the right to the legal right for Sam to exist on that land and provide insurance. I'm not calling it a lease. It's an easement and because leases have different kinds of implications. And so that is ongoing and it looks like the progress has been made with the city and we're gonna be signing documents in the not too distant future. As far as the Landstra strip,
We should explain what that is.
which is if you go into Sam on your north side, there's this beautiful little wetland area that gets kept under control with goats and there's willows and things and it backs up to a housing tract. And Sam bought it quite a few years ago. And so Half Moon Bay wants to have a right to use it for some maintenance and sewer projects. So we're working on an easement or agreement for that. And other than that, Sam is working hard on getting ready for the upcoming Super El Nino. And on our agenda will be a discussion about the funding and building of the Sam Force Main in Montara.
I want to add to the two things you talked about. So the easement for the sand facility on the property that Half Moon Bay owns. But the facility's been there on Half Moon Bay owned property this whole time for decades.
That's
now.
right.
And that easement had termination date, which was extended a few years back. And terminated very quietly with no one noticing in, I believe, 2022.
Just ran
In
out.
working on the energy project, those folks were saying, hey, can you show us you control the land that you want us to put our investment on, which is a very sensible thing. And in doing some research into it, staff at Sam was like, oh, we need to do something about this thing that expired. It's not like the plant's going to move here. Let's just extend it. And Half Moon Bay came back and said, yeah, but we'd like something for that. We're like, what, like a functioning sewer plant would be nice. I think, but they tried some horse trading. We talked about it quite a bit. And one of the things that they offered up was, hey, there's this project we wanted to do. We've got water that runs down this thing that we call the Kehoe water course. It's a trench. It moves water not only from the Lanster property that Catherine describes, but from across the highway as well. Quite a large volume of water. And when the rains come, it tends to run pretty high. It tends to scour pretty badly. And it eats into both sides, one side of which is into the backyards of the Kehoe neighborhood. And the other is into the property. And it's like, this is not a healthy waterway. A healthy waterway meanders, doesn't have that big high velocity. It fans out and it waters the whole area. That's what a healthy waterway looks like. And Half Moon Bay has for a long time been very interested in, can we stop having a channel like this is, LA or something, and do something a lot more natural. Like if you look at the Pilocitos Creek, it has a meander to it. And it runs high and there's challenges there, but it's got more of the right shape to itself. So having always had a long interest in doing something, here's this chunk of land sitting there. They're like, hey, we want a horse trade, so we can go get some money, do some planning, and ultimately get something done. And we can also take a whole bunch of the force of that water away from not only the neighborhood, but also away from the sand plant and send it off over to Pillarcitos Creek. It's a great idea. It doesn't need to be attached to the easement for the sand plant on Half Moon Bay property.
It needs.
So we took
It's
it, we took the opportunity of, okay, we see that you're interested in this. How about we say yes to both? And that's what we're doing. So we already have a yes to the easement for the sand plant. And the paperwork's being hammered out, and we'll get all the paperwork signed, but the board has already voted to support that. The other one, there's some work that needs to be done before that's ready. And I should mention, it's not just the waterway, but there's a sewer line, and this is not unlike our Palomar project. There's a sewer line that runs behind a bunch of the houses on the west side of the TO neighborhood. And they're desperate to get that moved into the street instead of behind the homes. Be much, much easier for them to service. That makes a lot of sense. But to do that, they want to bring from where it would be in the street now, they want to bring it all the way across over to the road that runs into the plant. So they need an easement there as well. So we have kind of an agreement in principle that we're going to find a way to say yes to that. So expect that to come. I'll just say, I've got some questions about the proposed width of that pipeline easement. They want a full 60 feet. Seems like a lot of feet for a single line. They need a little bit of room to be able to like move it if they need to move it or something. I get that, but I'll have some questions about that. So, I'll put pencil to paper on that. But in general, reshaping the water course and giving them the opportunity to make that a more natural thing, that could be really beneficial even to the endangered species that are denizens of that area. There's red-legged frogs, almost certainly the San Francisco garter snakes, and other endangered species there as well. So it's a very special piece of land. So we want to take really good care of it. And so it's a lot of words to say. There's those two things start out kind of tied together through proposed horse trading. We've managed to separate them, but still get agreement. Let's do them both. So we're going through that process carefully, but I put that up because, as you mentioned about the governmental relations, we're actually having some improved government relations, even telling Half Moon Bay, no, we're not going to do it your way. We're just still going to do it. And they're like, we didn't have to leverage you into doing this. You're just saying yes. And it's like, yes, people of goodwill can say yes to things that are beneficial, maybe more to you than to me, but if it's good, let's do it. So we're finding small but important little things to find agreement on and go forward together on. And I don't know, we're getting some good feedback on how that's going. I'm kind of really hopeful that we're making some progress coming out of kind of a dark period into something with a little, some glimmers of sunlight here and there. And am I being too rosy about it, or is that?
No, I am hoping that we are on a new way for the member agencies to feel involved in what's going on at SAM and in helping each other. Just anyway, I that was the meeting, and I'm not gonna ramble on.
I rambled on.
I understand that.
All right, let's go to Midcoast Community Council.
Well, Sid already reported on that, so let's go to CSBA.
I reported on their special meeting, but that's okay. You can go ahead and skip it.
No, I didn't realize there was a special meeting.
Yeah, the special meeting was to talk about the letter they were gonna write to address the 40 unit rate cap and reply to the to the planning commission about their.
So have they outlined any points?
Oh, yeah, they did. They already sent their letter. I don't know if they published it on the website. Last time I looked, it was still the draft, but I haven't looked this week. They will probably have another meeting because, since in the June 30th meeting was held, their meeting was before that. But they also had a regular meeting, and during the regular meeting, they had somebody come from, oh gosh, can't remember what you call it, medical corps, and gave an presentation. That's it for now. I did go to the big wave ribbon cutting, but that's not on here. It's
No.
not a report.
Okay, CSDA,
Hasn't been a meeting, one's coming up. LAFCO, I will say that I think. We have a public member vacancy, and Greg Diegos and another person have applied for that position. It will be coming along. And I'm running for the LAFCO seat. And they received a quorum of votes, but they, due to the time fashion that had to be extended to get to the quorum, we won't know the results for a month or so.
okay. And then, let's see, so what else? We got attorney's report, Christine?
No report.
Okay, any director's reports? General manager report, I already highlighted a couple of things, but Clemens, please.
Well, I
Nothing in addition to the written report. Thank you.
Before you speak, I would recommend that people online and other places look at Clemens's detailed written report. We drive around here and we see a truck stop here or there with some guys digging or a sand truck. This is a hugely complex maintenance required, constant attention demanded district, and you get a small sense of what goes on and what Clemens and our crew work through. And please look at it. You'll know why you pay your rates, because if we had to do a volunteer sewer crew, we'd have a problem. Thank you to Clemens and the crew.
Yeah, boy, that would be interesting, wouldn't it? All right, we have in closed session, we have conference with real property negotiators. Government code 54956.8, property is 771 Rivera Road here in Montara. The agency negotiators are the district general manager, the district general counsel, and the negotiating parties are Coast Wholesale Florists Corporation and Miller Habits Ranch. And under negotiation are price and terms of payment. If we take any action in closed session, we'll report it out after we come out of closed session. With that, we are at the end of our public session. Thank you to everyone for joining. We appreciate the participation. It's a very active community, and we're really glad you're here. Look forward to seeing you again and hearing from you some more. With that, we are in recess.
But
And we thank PCT as well for being here and giving the word us.
question, Pippin, what is that photo you have on your screensaver? Oops, I guess you didn't hear me. I'll ask Clemens to ask you, or I'll remember. Thank you.
Camera off.